Swayam Prabha. Digital India. Educated India.
Welcome to the next session on Pharmaceutical Organic Chemistry Paper 3. We are studying about, in the Unit 5, we are studying about reactions of synthetic importance. In the lecture 2, we will be studying about Birch reduction, Dakin reaction, open-R oxidation. I am Dr. Balaji, currently working as Associate Professor in the School of Biotechnology at Jawaharlal Nehru University. This project is sponsored by DTH Swayam Prabha, MHRD, New Delhi. The topics that will be covered in this session include dissolving metal reductions. Mainly we will be studying about Birch reduction. We will also be studying about Dakin reaction and open-R oxidation. We will also be studying later about some synthetic applications of Wolff-Kushner reaction, Clemmensen reaction and Birch reduction. Let us now look at dissolving metal reductions. So as we mentioned earlier, the dissolving metal reduction example is Birch reduction. So in this reaction, the Birch reduction is basically carried out in the presence of alkali metals, mainly lithium, potassium or sodium in the presence of liquid ammonia. The reaction is generally carried out. So that is the dissolving metal. So the metal is dissolved in the reaction medium. In this particular case, basically the blue color of the solution, intense blue color of the solution shows the formation of the radical, because this is basically a radical mechanism. When we look at the mechanism, we will know how the reaction actually proceeds. So this Birch reduction basically converts aromatic compounds to the benzene, that is having the benzenoid ring, into a 1,4-cyclohexadiene derivative, in which two hydrogen atoms have been attached to opposite end of the molecule. The reagent used, as I mentioned, is basically alkali metals, sodium, potassium, lithium in liquid ammonia with an alcohol, basically ethanol or tertiary butanol is used as the protic source for the reaction. Unlike the catalytic hydrogenation reaction, because if you take a benzenoid derivative and subject it to catalytic hydrogenation, the entire aromatic ring is completely reduced, whereas in the case of Birch reduction, the ring is not completely reduced, but it is only partially reduced. So that is the major difference between Birch reduction and other catalytic hydrogenation conditions. So here we don't get a cyclohexane, rather we end up with a cyclohexene derivative, or cyclohexadiene derivatives are formed. So if we take a benzenoid derivative and lithium or sodium in the presence of liquid ammonia and an alcoholic solvent, basically the protic solvent, gives the 1,4-cyclohexadiene, because these are no longer conjugated. So depending on whether the R group is an electron donating group, when the R group is an electron donating group, the double bond is formed on the electron donating group, whereas if we have an electron withdrawing group, the double bond is actually away from the electron withdrawing group. So this is how we can actually say different type of products can be formed in the reduction of aromatic systems or benzenoid systems. Let us look at the mechanism. So we have two types of mechanism. One is a orthoprotonation pathway. Another one is a metaprotonation pathway. So both these pathways generally operate in this particular reaction, and it is very difficult to say which one actually operates. So here we will be discussing both the pathways. So this is the starting material. For our convenience, we have taken an electron donating group as the substituent here. So the initial step is the radical reaction, as I mentioned. So a transfer of one electron happens to this particular aromatic system. So There are, as we mentioned, this is a orthoprotonation. In this particular case, there is a ortho carbon here, that is ortho to the methoxy group. So this takes that particular electron in the first step. So then it becomes a anion. So carbanion is formed in this particular case, and the proton from the solvent is added to this particular carbon. So that is why we say in the first step the orthoprotonation refers to the addition of proton from the protic solvent to the orthocarbon, which is an anion. So this is the first step which happens, and then the second electron is added to the radical here. The carbon radical is, so how this radical is formed is simply by the shift of double bond, because once the electron is added to this one, obviously this bond shifts, and this double bond shifts between here. So one electron from this double bond and one electron from this double bond comes here to form a double bond here, and that leads to the carbon having one extra electron, because the added electron is actually shifted to this particular carbon. So we have a carbon radical, and this carbon radical now takes the second electron and it becomes the carbanion. And in the second step, the alcohol, the proton from the protic solvent, is transferred to this carbanion, which leads to the second proton addition, which leads to our final product. So this is the orthoprotonation pathway. And when we look at the metaprotonation pathway, what happens is, instead of the first electron adding, basically this proton is not added to this orthocarbon. Rather, now in this particular case, this particular carbon becomes the carbanion and the orthocarbon becomes a carbon radical. So in this particular case, the proton is added from the solvent to the metacarbon. So this carbon is meta to this substituent. So this metacarbon gets the proton. So that is why this is called the metaprotonation pathway. So in the second step, this another second electron is added, that is the radical is added to this particular carbon, which gives a carbanion here, and this carbanion abstracts a proton from the solvent to give this final product. So whichever pathway it follows, we end up with the same product finally. So this is how the Birch reduction actually happens. And next we move on to the Dakin reaction. So in this particular reaction, aryl aldehydes or aryl ketones are converted to phenols via oxidation with hydrogen peroxide in the presence of a base. So if we look at the overall reaction, we have a carbonyl compound. The R prime can be hydrogen or it can also be an alkyl group. If it is hydrogen, we talk about the aldehydes. If it is an alkyl group, then we talk about a ketone. So in the presence of hydrogen peroxide and the base, we end up with the alcohol, phenol is formed with the concomitant formation of the carboxylic acid. So this particular group and this carbonyl group are cleaved from the molecule, and we end up with the corresponding acid. If it is a hydrogen, then we end up with the formic acid, and if it is an alkyl group, we get the corresponding alkyl carboxylic acid. So in this reaction mechanism, either aryl formate, which is formed from the aldehyde, or alkanoids. These two are the intermediate which is formed in this reaction, and they are finally saponified to yield the substituted phenol product. Basically the ortho or para plus some substituents, basically the amino group or the hydroxy groups, favor this reaction. If you look at the reaction mechanism in detail, the various steps are given here. So initially what happens is, earlier we had seen in the Wolff-Kishner reduction. So in the Wolff-Kishner reduction, what happens is basically the corresponding ethylene glycol or the glycolic solvent, the base, that is the potassium hydroxide, abstracts the proton from the solvent to give the corresponding oxide anion. Very similar to that in the Dakin reaction, the initial step is the base abstraction of the proton from hydrogen peroxide. So that leads to this peroxide anion. So this peroxide anion, we already know the peroxide anion can attack the carbonyl group to the electrophilic carbon. So this we are already familiar with. So in that case, this is the first step which happens. So the base abstracts the proton to form the peroxide anion. The peroxide anion now attacks the electrophilic carbonyl carbon. This leads to the unstable aryl carbonyl intermediate. So this is a quite unstable intermediate. So in this particular case, the actual rearrangement takes place in this particular step only. So there is a aryl migration. So this aryl group which is attached to the tetrahedral carbon shifts from the carbon to the oxygen. So this is the aryl migration takes place, and during this process the hydroxy group is, because the oxygen now will have three substituents, because there is carbon attached here and there is another oxygen attached here, and if this phenyl group is also attached to this oxygen, the oxygen becomes trivalent, which is quite unstable. So this OH group leaves as a OH minus group here, as shown here, because this happens during the charge reversal step. So in that leads to the formation of the aryl formate or aryl alkanoate intermediate. So here we have if the R prime group is a hydrogen, this is a formate intermediate, aryl formate intermediate. If it is a methyl group, it is a aryl alkanoate intermediate. So this intermediate is formed, and this intermediate is attacked by the hydroxide ion. OH minus ion present in the medium attacks this electrophilic carbon, and that leads to the formation of a carbonyl derivative as shown here. And this is a geminal diol. This is quite unstable material because two hydroxy groups are going to be present on the same carbon, which is quite unstable. So this loses the carboxylic acid. This particular unit which is shown here in the blue color is lost as a carboxylic acid unit. That leads to the formation of the phenoxide anion, and during the workup the phenoxide anion is converted to the corresponding phenol derivative. So this is the overall reaction mechanism for the Dakin reaction. Next, let us look at open hour oxidation. So this is an easy method for the selective oxidation of secondary alcohols to ketones. So we have a secondary alcohol here which is treated in the presence of a carbonyl compound, especially acetone is used as one of the reagent in the presence of aluminium triisopropoxide, leading to the formation of the corresponding carbonyl derivative. This secondary alcohol is converted to the carbonyl derivative. The acetone is converted to isopropanol. So the reagent used mainly is aluminium triisopropoxide in isopropanol solvent, and acetone is also used as a secondary substrate. In this particular case, other sensitive functional groups like amines and sulfides are not at all oxidized. So this is a very selective oxidation of secondary alcohols to ketone. Of course, this is mainly used for secondary alcohol, but if we use primary alcohol, we do have some competitive reactions. Basically, the primary alcohol may lead to the product that is an aldehyde. So that aldehyde, because we are having a basic conditions, aluminium triisopropoxide is there, which is quite a basic condition. So under that basic condition, it is possible that aldol condensation is possible. And of course, Tishango reaction, that is a disproportionation reaction that allows the preparation of esters from two equivalent of aldehyde also is possible. So these are all the possible competing reactions. So that is the reason aldehydes are not generally used for open hour oxidation, but secondary alcohols are used because primary alcohols generally end up with the formation of aldehyde. So those are generally avoided. So overall reaction, if you look at the Lewis acid catalyzed oxidation of the secondary alcohol into ketone using another ketone or aldehyde, because generally people use acetone, which is very cheap. So that is the reason in many of the cases open hour oxidations acetone is used as the second substrate. Of course, other ketones and aldehyde can also be used in this reaction. So the ketone or the aldehyde which is used as a secondary substrate is reduced to the corresponding alcohol, and this reaction is called the open R oxidation. It is the reverse of Marvin-Pondorf-Verley reduction reaction. So that is the interchange between alcohols and ketone in the presence of an aluminium catalyst. So both reactions are complementary to each other. And if you look at the open R oxidation mechanism, so the oxygen is having a lone pair of electrons. So aluminium is electron deficient because this is a Lewis acid. So this double bond, this lone pair of electrons are shifted towards the aluminium with the concomitant removal of the isopropyl oxide. So this leads to the formation of isopropanol. Isopropyl oxide anion abstracts a proton because we have a hydrogen on this oxygen. So this hydrogen is abstracted to form the isopropanol as one of the side product in this reaction. Now the oxygen and aluminium forms a bond. So this aluminium, this intermediate is now being attacked by the ketone which is used in this reaction, either aldehyde or the ketone. That lone pair of electrons on the oxygen now bonds with the aluminium. So we have a 6-membered intermediate as shown here for our convenience. So this is the acetone unit is shown in the blue color, and the alcohol part which is from the starting material is shown in the red color, and the aluminium isopropoxide is shown in the blue color. So in the initial step we started off with the 3 groups on the aluminium, that is 3 isopropyl units were present on the aluminium. Now we only have 2 groups because one of the group is lost as isopropanol as shown here. So the aluminium only now has the 2 isopropoxyl units. So these 2 isopropoxyl units are shown here in the black color. So now the bond between aluminium and oxygen is broken, which leads to the double bond in this particular case. So we end up with the ketone group, or the alcohol, the secondary alcohol is oxidized to the ketone as shown here. So when this bond breaks, we end up with the corresponding ketone derivative. This is our final product as shown here in the red color. And now what happens? This ketone carbonyl unit which is used as a second substrate, it can be aldehyde or ketone. In this particular case we are using acetone. So this takes a proton from the solvent. When this bond is oxygen aluminium bond is broken during the workup, it is converted to the corresponding hydroxyl unit, that is isopropanol is formed. So one isopropanol unit comes from the reagent which is used, and the second isopropanol unit comes from the ketone if we use acetone. So these are all the 2 different alcohols which are produced in this reaction. In the overall case, the starting secondary alcohol is converted to the ketone as shown here. So this is the overall mechanism, and this 6-membered state is written to conveniently see how the actual electron transfer takes place. Now let us look at some of the synthetic applications of Wolff-Fishner reaction. So we can see Vincamin synthesis as shown here. So in this particular case we have a carbonyl unit on this one, and we also have another carbonyl unit. So this is basically the lactam unit, and this carbonyl is not reduced in the final product after the Wolff-Fishner reduction. The Wolff-Fishner reduction only reduces the single carbonyl as shown here in this ketone is the only thing which is reduced. This after multiple steps leads to the Vincamin product. This is the natural product heterocycle. So this can be prepared using the key reaction which is the Wolff-Fishner reaction. And as I mentioned earlier also, the reaction is carried out at a very high temperature, 220 degrees centigrade, in the presence of glycols, DME basically, dimethylethylene glycol. And methylchlor-16 1908 synthesis also involves Wolff-Fishner reduction. So in this particular case, the carbonyl group is reduced to the CH2 group. The double bond is not at all affected in this particular case. So here we can say selective reduction of the carbonyl group is possible using Wolff-Quetzner reaction. Let us look at the synthetic application of Clemmensen reaction. So generally many Friedel-Crafts reactions we are familiar with cannot be carried out if we have a alkyl halide which can undergo rearrangement reaction. So this is a primary alkyl halide. This primary alkyl halide can undergo a rearrangement under Friedel-Crafts alkylation condition. So getting a linear alkyl aryl derivative is very difficult in the case of direct Friedel-Crafts alkylation reactions. And moreover, whenever we introduce a alkyl group, this actually activates the aromatic ring. So instead of the mono substitution, we always end up with polysubstituted derivatives. So it is always not possible to selectively monoalkylate aromatic systems using Friedel-Crafts alkylation reaction. To circumvent this problem, the reaction can be carried out by the first we can do the Friedel-Crafts acylation reaction on the aromatic system. So whenever we introduce a acyl unit, the acyl unit deactivates the aromatic ring from further acylation reaction. So that way we can avoid the polyacylation reactions. Second, this also does not undergo any rearrangement. So that way, although it is a one step extra for the preparation of the linear alkyl benzenes, Clemmensen or the Wolff-Quetzner reduction of this acyl derivative is the best option to get the reduced product. So Clemmensen reduction or the Wolff-Quetzner reduction can be effectively used to prepare linear alkyl aryl derivatives. And as I mentioned earlier, the keto amino ketones basically undergo rearrangement. Here what we saw is a ring contraction reaction. So this particular acipinone derivative, when treated with zinc mercury amalgam and hydrochloric acid, produces the piperidine derivative as shown here. So this is a rearrangement reaction and a ring contraction reaction. So these type of reactions are also possible using Clemmensen reduction conditions. And if you look at the Birch reductions application, desogestrol synthesis is generally used here. So this aromatic system can be selectively reduced to the alpha beta unsaturated carbonyl unit using Birch reductions very selectively. Here the isolated double bond is not at all reduced in this particular reaction, and this OTBS protection can be removed by HCl and HF in the last step to get the desogestrol. So this reaction is a use of Birch reduction in the natural product synthesis. And we can also carry out a selective carbonyl reduction using Clemmensen and Wolff-Quetzner reactions. So if we take this is a ester, this is a carbonyl, this is a nitro. So we have three different functional groups which can be reduced using different reducing agents. If we use the Wolff-Quetzner reduction with the hydrazine and ethylene glycol, the ester is reduced to the carboxylic acid. Of course, after workup, because we are using a strong basic condition, the ester undergoes hydrolysis. The selective reduction of the carbonyl group, as shown here, the carbonyl is reduced to the methyl ethyl derivative here. So this reduction is possible very selectively when we are using Wolff-Quetzner reduction. The nitro group is not at all affected. Whereas when we use the Clemmensen reduction, this nitro group is also reduced to the amino derivative along with the reduction of the carbonyl group. So that way Clemmensen reduction we can say is not very selective for the reduction of carbonyl if other functional groups are present in the molecule. Let us recap the summary what we have studied so far. We have studied about dissolving metal reductions. In that we studied about Birch reduction, its mechanism also we have studied, and what is the solvent we have to use, all those things we have studied. We also studied about Dakin reactions and its synthetic utility. We also studied about open R oxidation and how the reaction mechanism works, that also we have studied. In the synthetic applications, we have studied about how Wolff-Kishner reactions and Clemmensen reductions are used in synthetic organic chemistry, and we also studied about Birch reductions applications. With that, we conclude this session. Thank you.